Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about my quilting journey and life in a northern town. Show notes can be found at mycreativecorner3.wordpress.com. Please leave a comment and we can continue the conversation online. My name is Vicki. Welcome to the podcast. It has been the last week and a half of staycation around my house. I took a little bit of time off of quilting and spent more time with family. Gatherings that had lots of people attending and only missing a couple were part of it. It was just wonderful. I enjoyed all of the gift giving and the festivities and listening to holiday music on the radio, internet streaming, of course, and really not having to be anywhere or do anything. Work, there's such a schedule and a demand that it takes its toll on you and you need a break from it. So this was great. I was able to go to see the Last Jedi Star Wars movie. I'm not going to give any reviews, except I'm going to say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about the movie. I did leave my little town and went to a theater that had a 70-foot screen, but it wasn't called IMAX. I guess it's a newer thing, and I really, really liked it. It's not that much further than a good movie theater, and it was a lot cheaper, so it was worth a 2-hour drive one way to go see the show. Yeah, really. Our little hometown has a movie theater, but the last time I went, it didn't have very good resolution on the picture. So if you were going to go see a real high-end movie with lots of, production like The Last Jedi, you would not see it in its glory, really. So I don't go to movies often, but I see there's a few coming up that I'm really going to like. So I liked that a lot. And then Friday night, on the 29th or so of December, before New Year's weekend, we went back to Grand Rapids and took our son to university there. And we saw a hockey game, and the Griffins are the farm team for the Detroit Red Wings, and try saying that fast, the Detroit Red Wings. And we enjoyed a great night of hockey. I don't know tons about the sport, truly. Like, I do know a lot about football, and I'll get to football later, but I don't, know much about the planned plays and rules. But I do know, what's nice about it is I do know when people score and win. Same with basketball. And it's great to go. It's a lot of action. It was $2 beer and hot dog night. I mean, what more can you ask for? We had bird's eye seats, and if you want to look at pictures, go to my Instagram feed. I was having way too much fun doing some pictures and videos of the action. There's a little bit of chippiness, they call it, at the end of the game, as usual. What I like about this team, though, is that most of the players are on their way up, or maybe they are coming down from the National Hockey League. So it's a really high level of play. So we did that. And then overall, once our son went back to college, we have been quiet at home. About the time I got home after an incredible amount of snow, the west side of Michigan got, and that's where our son goes to school. We dug a little bit of digging around the house, and you can see pictures. They probably got, in the week he was home, no joke, at least 2 feet of snow, maybe 3. And I know there were parts of western Michigan that got an incredible amount in a very short period of time. So he's back to work. I'm getting ready for classes to start. And I spent the time winding the year down. And I decided what I wanted to do during this off time from quilting was to do some yarn work. I have a lot of 1-2 skeins left over from different projects and from the Yarn of the Month club I had a few years ago. I decided to jump on the granny stripe bandwagon. It's a really big thing going around the internet. I do know how to make granny squares. Looked it up. Granny stripes was exactly what I thought it was. So I bought some of those sushi roll looking yarn. And there's enough color in them that 4 of those are yielding a decent sized lap afghan. I don't know that I'm going to put a border on it. I don't know I'm going to add any more. I think I have enough money invested in this that 4 skeins of these sushi rolls. I think I got 2 from Hobby Lobby and 2 from Joann's. And they really are coordinating in the teals, blues, white. Oh, I just love it. The colors are great. And it's probably enough to throw on your lap and throw on the couch for a decorative accent. Well, that spurred me on to keep looking into crochet. I finished my fingerless gloves knitting, so I was looking for another project when one of my husband's acquaintances on the internet has a niece who is someone who has been to her local hospital, and she decided she wanted to make 1,000 chemo hats with her team of people to donate for the people who are having treatment for cancer there. And I thought, man, she's only 12? I believe 12 years old. It kind of reminds me of Star Wars. You know, one of the things that I think always is interesting in Star Wars, and it's been a theme throughout all of them, is arrogance or hubris. Well, she's young. 1,000 hats in a year? Really? 1,000 hats? You know how many people it would take to crochet 1,000 hats or knit? Incredible. But then I got thinking, why not? It's through the eyes of the young that haven't been, well, beaten down by life that can say, I want to do 1,000 hats. Excuse me. And I asked, would it be okay for me to share her project on the podcast? So what the plan is I've made 2 of these chemo hats. It took me a little bit, and I'm finding that crocheting goes faster for me than knitting a cap. I'm trying to find some soft yarn and things that would be appropriate. And I'm gathering up hats from my family, and we're mailing them to an adult representative in her family. If this is something you're interested in, you're love to sit down and have an evening, almost like a fidget, is how I look at it, while I'm watching TV or relaxing after work, or even a meditative type of craft. One of these chemo hats is great. Ravelry has a ton of free patterns too. So if you're interested, email me at vickyholloway12345@gmail.com. That is the best way to get a hold of me. And I will send you an address, and I assure you that these hats are going to a cancer treatment center in the Midwest. In Illinois, actually. And I thought it's great because in the Midwest, in the winter, it's cold. So I'm using worsted weight yarn. And I thought knit hats, crocheted hats, lace hats, it doesn't matter because it's cold enough here. People who need a hat, they'll pick the kind that fits them best. So I'm kicking off the new year with looking at donating a little bit of time and a little bit of materials and doing something that might mean more to someone else. I know when I was getting some treatment for an illness I didn't feel like making myself a hat or something like that might be practical. So the people who receive these know that they're stitched with love and tenderness and kindness, and just wanting someone to receive it in love. Well, January is coming around, and the staycation has getting to the end game. And I started looking at, well, what do I want to do to kick off the new year? I spent yesterday overindulging myself in college football games. I do know a little bit more about plays in the sport and scoring and all that. Oh, the Rose Bowl was phenomenal. I just love that game. Sometimes when you get so involved in a sport and you get to know a little bit about the players, and I hate to see people lose. So the Rose Bowl was the highlight of the weekend. Of course, University of Michigan played in another bowl game, and they didn't win. But it still was a lot of fun. And during the time of the football games, because there were many, I did some sewing. I am part of a group called Quilts for Cure, and you've heard me talk about this group before. We gift quilts. We gift quilts to children who are late teenagers, early 20s, people who are diagnosed with pediatric cancer. These quilts are not low quality. I mean, every quilt that we have donated has been made by an amazing quilter who did an amazing job. And those are the types of comments I get, because, there's fun things to make little blankets for babies and other kids, with that are not quilted. But if you're going to give a quilt, people know that they're really something of quality and to be treasured. Well, last year at QuiltCon, Michael Miller Fabric Company had a block drive for a charity that was to be named, and those quilts were to be finished and brought to QuiltCon this year. And I am so happy to hear that Quilt for Cure is getting blocks enough for 6 quilts. Volunteers are putting them together, and I'm putting together one, and I'm telling you what, each of these little blocks are 6.5 inches, are little works of art. They're perfectly made. The highest quality fabric, Michael Miller fabrics, are amazing. I have one that's got a purple theme to it. I'll show some pictures in the show notes, but there's like little dogs and helicopters, and it's just the most adorable thing. So these little quilt blocks are just gems. They sparkle and shine, and they're most adorable. I'm putting the tops together, and I'm doing 2 of them. And then I'm going to quilt them. I'm really thinking hard about how I want to long arm them because they're going to QuiltCon. And the quilts are going to be incredible. They're going to be amazing. You just are not going to believe how these blocks are made and how they all go together so well. So if you're going to QuiltCon, check out Quilts for Cure. Check out Quilts for Cure. It's really hard to say. Check out Quilts for Cure's booth. And they're going to be partnering with Michael Miller Fabrics, who have sponsored all the fabric in this, as well as Hobbs, who has donated the batting, and Aurifil the thread. And overall, it's going to be wonderful. Now you may ask, well, I missed the chance last year. Well, I believe there's going to be another charity drive, but so is Quilts for Cure having a block drive, and that will be in the Operation Smiley. So Quilts for Cure link will be in the description show notes below, and you can get information about this Operation Smiley as it unfolds. Usually it's in February, and the whole story of where this name came from and how you can help will be part of it. But you will not ever be disappointed in the quilts that are made, and the children who receive these are just delighted. The moms always comment to me saying thank you, because during some tough times the quilts is a nice physical representation of love that is being sent to both the child and the family. So that's how I started out my new year. It was doing something that made me feel really good, that it was something for the bigger picture and giving back. So resolutions came around then, and I decided not really going to do a resolution, not going to pick a word a year, because I wind up forgetting about it or changing or evolving and just doing things differently. So what I decided as I was doing a year in review, because I was getting a little bit frustrated with the thought that I didn't get as much done as I thought I should have, and that I didn't do anything, quote unquote. You know how that internal conversation you have. Only to find out when I started adding it all up, it was an incredible year, 2017. This podcast has grown. I had 53 quilts that I long-armed. Some were little, but I still counted them. 53 quilts and projects that I finished. And I'm going to say that's up quite a bit, because I was averaging 3 a month, 2016. And I hope to have a little bit more in 2018. I have 10 of my own quilt tops to long arm, and I'm hoping to factor that into the mix. I had opportunities to quilt several quilts that were for donation, both for Quilt of Valor and Quilts for Cure. I got the blog revitalized. I was part of Blog Hops. I met some wonderful people. I just can't say enough of what a banner year it was. I had a quilt that I long-armed and did part of the group project at AQS Grand Rapids. Wow. But my brain wanted to focus on the things that didn't happen. I didn't get a book published. I didn't get 100 quilts done. But then I go back and say, hey, I had a pattern at Moda Bake Shop. Yeah, but you didn't get your pattern store up again. See, I decided that as I wrote that post, I'm letting all that go. I got the pattern store open, and I have one pattern in it. That's all I really wanted over the weekend. That was my goal, and I achieved it. There, done. New Year's resolution done. I got a pattern store started on my website. There's a tab called Store, and it is a quilt that started my designing and long-arming to take it to the next level, really is what I'm trying to say. And it's called Oceanfront. It's a quilt that is based on a bunch of the photos that I take, because I like doing photo a day challenges. I was visiting my daughter, and I've talked about this quilt on the podcast before, but as a quick recap, I was visiting my daughter in Virginia Beach, and I was walking along the boardwalk in the ocean, and all those really tall, long, tall, rectangular buildings, hotels were there. It was a very hot summer day, and there was really no relief from the heat, no matter where we were. There were so many people down on the beach and the boardwalk, and as I looked up at all those hotels, I was just amazed at the sea of humanity that was there in every balcony in these hotels. They were filled with brightly colored beach towels that were drying. And when I got home, I shared my experience with one of my friends who said, wow, that's a great picture. I think I see a quilt in there. And I said, I thought the same thing. And she goes, well, you'll figure out how to make it then. And that's what I did. So the pattern is up for sale. I have multiple patterns that I'm getting ready to put on the store. I've decided I'm going to keep 10 at a time, and that's something I can manage. Overall, I'm really hoping that it works out, that the shop works out. I'm not an internet / e-commerce / web design pro. I've plinked around with this since I started blogging, and this is where I am. I do have some people I can ask questions to, but so if you do check the store out, let me know if it works, and if you have any comments, on it, feel free. I'm open to it. I want to keep making things better. And that's really my goal for 2018. Keep doing what I'm doing, only do it better. Keep going to the gym, only do it better. Keep eating healthy and trying to keep my labs better and better. Keep podcasting and making videos. And I have a class coming up at my local quilt shop. All of these things, keep doing what I'm doing. Just get better at it. The more I do, the better I'll get. I also want to take some time during 2018 to do more self-care, positive things for myself, including, just time to decompress, deep breathe and meditate, do all of the things I need to do, like exercise and that. But I also want to make 2018 the year of exploring ideas and creativity and make mini things, mini quilts, mini ideas. Part of that is practicality. I have a queen size quilt that I haven't been able to quilt for a year because having the backing fabric, quilting, batting, and enough thread to do it has just not happened. I don't need too many more queen sizes anyway, but I'm going to finish all the ones I have. But the new quilts I'm making are going to be like little sketches, little minis. I want a wall of minis. And I'm going to test ideas out that way. And I know they'll get done because I have enough batting scraps to do many quilts like that. I'm also jumping on a challenge that I found on Instagram by The Knit Show with Vicki Howell. And she's doing a swatch a day. Oh man, that's right up my alley. I have all these oddball skeins of yarn, and they will be great for swatching. And then what am I going to do with the swatches? I'm either going to put them in an embroidery hoop or a frame. I'm going to make another whole wall of little mini art pieces of knit. And it will help improve my skills. So the year 2018, I have declared for myself that it will be the year of the miniature quilts, miniature design, miniature decoration of my house, and a miniature shop on my website because it's only going to have 10 items. So that's what I've been doing. It's where I'm heading out into this new year, feeling great, refreshed after a staycation. I have 2 more days left at home, and I've got my long arm frame fixed. My husband helped me with that. Got thread ordered, and I am going to just do a lot of long arming until I can get back, and maybe I'll whittle my stack down enough that I can get some of those quilt tops of my own finished. I want to thank everybody for joining me and coming back, and please comment and let me know what you think about the website with a few tweaks that I've made in the little store. How was your 2017? I hope that no matter what happens, that as you enter 2018, that it really becomes a better universe, a better community, and a better time for you. Time for us to spend time creating, crafting, doing a little self-care, meditate, pray, explore all things that makes you happy. And until next time, quilt on, everyone. I would like to take the time at the end of the podcast here to also let you know of a change that I made to the website. I have a patron page through Podbean, and I've had some great support through the patron page. But if you're a person who prefers PayPal, I added How You Can Help tab at the top of the website at www.mycreativecorner3.wordpress.com, and on there is a shopping cart where you can give a one-time gift through PayPal. It is something that I appreciate everyone who supports me so much. The gifts help me keep going with the cost of podcasting and the website and upgrading and improving. I do appreciate everyone who has supported me. I appreciate all of my listeners. And I just want to also encourage you to leave a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you may be listening to this podcast. We want to encourage other people to join the conversation that we have. And a review really helps me out quite a bit. Please feel free to comment on the show notes, and we will continue this conversation online. Have a great week, everyone.